Hello, class, and welcome to week 3. This week we'll look at memory management, constraints, requirements, and the assignment this week will be project 1. As I discussed before, it's project 1, 2, and 3, but it's really all one project. You're going to be building a design template, come up with the requirements, look at the constraints, provide the UML diagrams, and eventually the code, and at the end of the semester, look at what operating platforms we want to put our application on. And so this week, with project 1, we'll get in deeper. You'll take what you did last week and put it into a project 1 document, and from that document, you'll build throughout the semester. So this week, as you remember, last week we went over structures, function characteristics of operating systems, and we're using Java programs. We'll continue with Java programs, and this week we'll look at business technical requirements and business constraints. And so, so the readings this week, let's see, you can read the announcement. I'll go down to the module and go over the modules, and then a little bit about the project. I don't want you to get too hung up on the project 1 submittal. It does seem pretty big. It's only assignment this week, but it's it's the first step as you read it through the overview, where we're going to take our customer and capture their requirements, build in some constraints, and then start building the UML diagram and continue on with the application that we've been building. So the readings this week, it'll go over and introduce more about process concept, process scheduling, and communication. The readings will include operating system concepts, chapter 4 and chapter 8, and chapter 9. And you'll look at topics like multi-threading, threading, swapping, paging, continuous memory allocation, demand paging, copy and write, page replacement. These are all important issues. I work in a Java world, and one of our biggest issues that comes out over and over is memory leaks, and that's the Java memory module does a pretty good job of killing threads, but if you don't close a call, then you can have a memory leak, and what will happen is eventually it will cause the JVMs to restart. That can affect other processes, affect the application. So good coding practices can alleviate some of these issues, but that's really, one of the reasons why we want to get into the operating platforms, even at an application developer level, because the code is what can cause some issues, regardless if it's running on a Windows machine or a Unix machine. And depending on what tools you have, you can see where those threading issues are occurring. So project 1 submission, like I said, there's only one assignment this week. It does seem like a big assignment. You'll read through the scenario, and we're working for CTS, Creative Technology Solutions, and we're going to build this application called Win, Lose, or Draw. Build a gaming room, and you'll see that some of the software requirements are laid right out. That how many people can play at each time, how many teams there will be, et cetera, et cetera. And then the directions is create the software design document with the executive summary and your design constraints. And it says identify the design constraints for developing a game application. And a lot of those you can build from the requirements, and in the real world also, you can look at constraints, and usually they fall in time, resources, and money, which is, money can be resources as well. But you look at where you're going to host the application, whether it's multi-threaded, et cetera, and so, 3 examples. And so you're going to put that into the design document. Like I said, then further on, you're going to re-edit that design document 2 more times throughout the semester. And then also in the designs document, you'll create a UML diagram based off of the requirements. And so then once you do that, the Java application, which is already, the started code is already there, so you just be modifying the code. So don't worry, you're not going to build the whole code, but you'll finish the code in the application, and then run the code in Eclipse. And it goes on further to talk about software design patterns and functionality and best practices, within doing your UML diagrams and doing the code. And so you remember we talked about inheritance and, iterative versus singleton patterns. And so you'll submit the software design template or document. You can see it's already here that you can build into, and then the Java application. And then when you go down to the project one rubrics, this is the part that, I don't want you to get too upset about, because if you look at the Java application, its program functionality is only worth 15 points. And so, actually the program running in Eclipse, this is not a Java class. And so that's only worth 15% of this assignment. So the heart of the assignment is actually the design template. You have 15 points for the executive summary, 20 points for listing design constraints, 20 points for listing the domain model, 25 points for doing the software design patterns, and that's the UML diagrams, and then the program functionality and best practices. So even if you have issues where have an issue getting it to run, it's not like a 0 to 15. But like I said, it's a really small percentage of the whole assignment. And then of course there's always the articulation of your response. So hopefully you're improving your grammar, sentence structure, and spelling. We have to do that, and I continually do that. It's just a part of being a professional, and then also going through higher education. So hopefully we're improving in all these skills. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. For the ones that have, you can see I respond, on a daily basis at least. And I look forward to your project one submissions. Again, like I said, don't get overwhelmed by the project. I know there's a lot of requirements of reading, but when you dive down into the rubrics and look at the rubrics and just work through it, like I said, the heart of it is getting that design document for the first assignment. Thank you. Hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.